Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello, my friends. Game Boy Geek here. Today I am joined by my friend
Greg Dixon. Thanks for having me.
And today it's all about the Spiel Des Jahres, because usually I wait until things are announced the day of, and then I go and I do commentary and talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, what I thought was missing.
Yeah.
So this year we were talking about it, we thought, let's put out a predictions video before the announcements come out. By the way, the announcements are coming out Monday after this airs. So I think it's May 22nd, 2023.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah. And so for those that don't know, Spiel Des Jahres is probably the most prestigious game awards in the world.
Game of the year.
They're out of Germany, and they do 3 different sections. They do a kids game, they do like a family game, and then they do like a connoisseurs game or things like that.
Expert, basically.
Today we're going to be focusing mostly on the Spiel Des Jahres, which is game of the year, basically kind of like family-ish game of the year, and then the connoisseurs, the Kennerspiel.
Yeah.
Now, the Spiel Des Jahres themselves it's kind of interesting. They have a jury that are basically game critics.
Yeah.
And they get games sent to them just like reviewers like myself do, and they play them and they build buzz, and then inside the jury, the ones that get the most buzz get played more and more by more different people in the group, and then they finally do the nominations. It's a big deal because from what I've heard, the game that wins the Spiel des Jahres automatically will sell at least like 500,000 copies or 300,000 or something. It's huge, right?
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. Not so much the Kennerspiel necessarily, although I'm sure that does well for it too. But the SCJ specifically, I mean, those are some of the biggest games that everyone's heard of from years past. Going way back to things like
Take a Ride.
I was gonna say Quirkle.
Yeah, Quirkle.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. That's just like everyone's heard of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
now it's different from here because in Germany, a lot of families will buy one game a year, and they buy the Spiel des Jahres winner, and they buy it at their grocery store, which when I heard that, I'm like, what? Like, yeah, it's at our grocery store, and they have the Spiel des Jahres.
I think there's more of a culture of tabletop gaming in Germany than there is here.
But it's like, if people buy one game a year there, this is the game they're buying.
Well, yeah, and I think it's not only is it so huge in Germany, but it's become such a prestigious award that it's like the whole world waits to see, and is interested, And like I said, a lot of those games end up being sort of almost borderline mass market games that are like in the zeitgeist. Everyone's aware of them.
Yeah, and there is some there's criteria of what could be there, what couldn't be there. There's a lot of gray area still. But
it has to be a German release. So sometimes, at least as I was doing some of the sort of preliminary research for this, there was a lot of stuff where I was like, oh, this is definitely the sort of game they would love. Oh, wait, it only came out in America or only came out in limited markets. So there might be games that you think, why wouldn't they talk about this, that just aren't even eligible?
Yeah, they have to be in German.
Yep.
They have to be distributed to stores in Germany. They can't be like a Kickstarter that has a German edition.
Yeah, they have to be pretty widely available.
They had to have been submitted by March of 2023, but if some came in later, it says it's possible they could be there.
It sounds like there's wiggle room there.
So it's kind of like from last year's nominations through about a month ago. If it came out in normal distribution in Germany and it has German rules, it's kind of
weird because it's not even like the calendar year. You can't be like, oh, let's just look at stuff that came out in 2022. Well, early 2023 might also work. So and so there might be things that we guess or predict that for whatever reason we don't even know aren't technically eligible, but it'll still be interesting to discuss, I think, and see sort of what we think should be in the conversation if it is indeed eligible there.
So Greg and I, oh, by the way, I want to preface this by saying neither Greg nor I know of anybody on the jury. We have no inside knowledge. I don't even know one person that's on the jury.
I've met people. I've seen people at conventions.
Oh, okay.
Like I've gone to things where they've done like a presentation about how the SDJs work and stuff.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and so I've seen Q&As and in that kind of a setting. That's the closest I have to knowing any of them. I certainly don't know any of them. I couldn't even give you one name of someone on that jury.
Greg and I independently wrote down some lists of games.
Yeah.
I'm imagining because we play a lot of the same games. I mean, we basically play games every week, and so I'm guessing there's going to be a decent amount of overlap between ours, but we won't know. We're just going to find out as we mention them. So we're going to start with the main Spiel des Jahres sort of game of the year in just a moment. All right, for the Spiel des Jahres, there's been sort of a trend lately, well, many years, that there tends to be like one game that is very popular. There tends to be one game that's like slightly less popular. And then there's usually one of the 3 nominees, because there's only 3 nominees, and there's like 5 recommended. Then there's like one that never came out anywhere but Germany. Nobody knows about. Like last year it was top 10.
I think Pictures one year.
Pictures one year. And then even that Queen game that you love, that one of the nominees, that one year where you're going through the
Luxor.
Luxor. Oh, yeah. That was one that like nobody had but Germany. So,
which turned out to be amazing, by the way.
Yeah. So it's weird. So there tends to be like this little.
But that's part of what's fun about it, is because they'll put stuff on your radar you're not aware of, and then it's like, okay, I want to go get this game. I want to try it out. I want to see how it feels.
Obviously, we're hoping that our picks are on the 3 nominated list, but they also do the 5 recommended, and I'm going to be happy if it makes any of those.
Yeah, I'm not assuming that what I'm
in no good order. Why don't you go first?
All right, I'm not like I'm about to say. I'm not assuming that these are definitely going to happen, but they feel like the sort of game that should be there, and games that I would love to see. Yeah. I mean, there's other games I like more than some of these potentially, but like I said, they're not necessarily eligible, right? So one of them, which I think you'll agree, is totally fits in the sort of SDJ like bucket that they're looking for. The criteria that they want is Secret Identity.
I have that on my list.
You do? Okay. Yes. I thought you might.
Yes.
We both really like that one. I've taught it to people who loved it as well. He's mentioned in videos in the past that sometimes we'll import like 5 or 6 copies of the game.
I could totally see this winning.
Right?
I could see this winning.
And I've taught to people, because I ended up with 2 copies.
It's basically a light party game, but the SDJ has been going lighter and lighter and lighter every year.
And like I said, I've taught to people. I ended up with 2 copies of it. Someone played it once with us and was like, "Ooh, can I buy one of these copies off of you?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." So it's a crowd pleaser is what I'm trying to say. It feels like the people I teach it to really like it. It's good at all player counts. I've played it very small player counts all the way up to 8. It still works. It's actually better in some ways.
It's not out in North America yet, although R&R Games picked it up.
Oh,
R&R is bringing this game out to North America.
Well, keep your eyes peeled. Even if it doesn't get nominated, doesn't win, doesn't whatever, it's a good game, and it feels like the sort of thing they'd like. It's in that like just one kind of feel of game.
I think this one could win. So essentially what happens
is we're on such the same page there.
There's like 8 people's names that everyone kind of knows, like popular people or historical figures.
Johnny Depp, King Elizabeth, or Queen Elizabeth.
Everyone has these little cards of like, they're just like hand-drawn images, like black and white.
Almost like emojis.
Yeah, and you're basically you're placing some out of what number yours is. So like you might have Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you might be having like a muscle or something like this.
Right.
But you can play up to 3 of them, but you only have a certain amount for the whole game. So you're trying to
conserve
them
because it gets, and so like just by nature it becomes harder, as the rounds progress, because you have less to choose from.
Yeah.
You start to get to the point where like, how am I going to make them guess? Catwoman when this is all I've got.
It's really good.
It's very good, very simple to learn. A nice production.
Here's the litmus test.
Little magnetic things that you stuck the keys in on all the boards. It's like a nice production as well, I feel like.
The litmus test is my brother, who is a curmudgeon when it comes to games. He likes the old classic games. He likes Ticket to Ride, but that's like the only modern game he likes. He likes For Sale. Most of the time he's like, I'll just play some of the classic stuff. We played this around and part of the time he just does it just to get under my skin, but we played this around Thanksgiving, and we played this in a bunch of other games. Yeah. He's like, that's a good game.
Yeah, so, I'm telling you, it's
the
a crowd pleaser.
He thinks that too. Yeah. So yes,
it's a crowd pleaser.
Identity.
So that was one of your 3 that you predict, or you have what?
I had 4.
I had some other ones. I decided to try to narrow it down to just 3, but yeah, that was definitely one of the ones I'm like, if it's eligible, if it was widely released there, it just fits so perfectly into the mold, especially like you said, of what they've been doing lately with like very light, very approachable games.
Well, then I'm going to stay on that topic of light, approachable games. Because again, they're going lighter, lighter, lighter.
I'm going to laugh if there's overlap here again.
In Germany, this is called Ghost Rider. In North America, it's called Phantom Inc.
I don't think that's available there.
It is, under Ghost Rider.
Really?
It's renamed.
Okay, I considered this one. I felt like the perfect match for it. But I felt like let me see if I can find it on my research. I felt like it wasn't released in Germany.
Ghost Rider is basically it's a word game where you get to pass a question off to your teammate, who then answers it by writing a one-word answer. But they're trying to be somewhat like tiptoeing around it, because the other team is going to be able to guess first, because both teams have the same answer they're trying to guess.
Yeah, it sort of simulates like a spirit board, right? And you're communicating with this ghost, and they're giving you answers one letter at a time, but both teams are trying to get the same word. And so you want to answer the question but not make it too obvious. When the ghost is writing the letters one at a time.
Letter at a time.
Yeah, the team wants to make sure they don't write too many because then that might help the other team.
So you can stop them after any letter, and then you're trying to guess it. It reminded me a little bit of Crosstalk, which was like a really party game I loved a lot.
But this one's way more streamlined, way smoother than Crosstalk, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you play this with the lights down with some candles and you get into the whole Ghost Rider thing, it's...
okay, I swear I looked this up on BGG and it was listed as unreleased in Germany. So if
a lot of them say that because they don't always go right back when they get released and say when they got released.
Okay, if you're right and it's available, then did you confirm that at all, or are you just assuming?
No, I just know that it's in German and it was renamed as Ghost Rider.
Okay.
But I did see it said unreleased, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not really released.
Okay, if it's released, I totally agree with you that this is like the kind of game that they would award. And I love it. It's like my most played game of last year, I think. I mean, just like dozens of plays, taught it to tons of people. I love it.
There you go. There's the first two picks. We had Secret Identity and Phantom Inc., a.k.a. Ghost Rider.
If I thought of that as eligible, I totally would have put it as one of my three.
Yep.
Great pick.
All right, so you got another pick?
Yeah, so in that same sort of party game kind of vibe, I'm going to go with one that, well, it's from the same company as one that's been like awarded in the past. Or claimed in the past. So I'm going to say Fun Facts.
Yeah, I thought about this one too.
Fun Facts is that same size box as just one. It's Repo. It's different designers, I think, right? But it's the same idea. Party game. Anyone can play it. It's very social. It sort of sparks conversation because it's all about you and how you react to whatever the prompt is. So it might say something like, on a scale of 1 to 100, how much do you think you should be the president or whatever, right? Yeah. And everyone writes their own number. And then some other player, without knowing what the numbers are, they're all face down on like these little boards that they've written on, has to sort of put them in order and rank what they think the people's responses will be. And so it's really fun when it's like 0, 0, 0, 70. Wait, what do you think? Who are you to think this or that or whatever? And so you get really, it's fun because it's fun to predict what you think other people are going to answer. But it's also kind of like this icebreaker, conversation starter kind of game. And you end up with like these inside joke kind of things where like maybe, a month down the line, you see your friend and go, hey, Mr. President, how you doing? Or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I
almost put this one on the list.
This one, I think, I think Phantom Inc. and Secret Identity I prefer, but this one is in that same realm, same sort of game.
If this got nominated, I'd be like, okay, I get it.
I don't know if it should win necessarily, but it definitely...
The interesting thing is, I wonder if the number is released in Germany, the one we just played, because that's like a really interesting. I just reviewed another game from Repo's Production called The Number.
I did a pretty deep dive, and I looked at anything that I'd sort of played in that window.
Yeah.
So I think I looked at The Number, but I can't remember what it said. A lot of them, I mean, I made a big list of potential ones. And it was just like, nope, unreleased, never came out in German, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been the case with that one.
I'm going to double check that one. Okay, I got another one. I like that pick. I almost picked that one.
Yeah.
I think this is along the lines of like the Camel Up side of things.
Okay.
Where it's like it plays a lot of players.
I know what you're going to say.
Go ahead.
Well, it was one I considered, but I don't know. Once again, I don't know if it went wide. Is that Long Shot the Dice game?
No, that one did not go to Germany.
I was going to say, I don't think that one's available in Germany.
No,
that was one of the first ones I thought of, and I checked it, and I was like, oh, it's not there.
I looked for that, too.
Because it fits that mold
I looked at that one,
of what you'd expect. Yeah.
No, I did. Challengers from Z-Man Games.
Oh, you like that one. Yeah.
But this is like a tournament-style deck building game, kind of, where you have up to eight people.
Team versus
team. That are going against each other. And like, I might play you that takes 3 minutes, and then I play the next person, and I play the next one, and you kind of like roam around the table. And it's this game where you've got these different decks of cards, and you can have certain decks in each game. And they're simple abilities. It's essentially gamer war. Because you build this deck of and you're trying to build synergies of abilities, but when it comes down to it, you're literally flipping a card, and the next player flipping a card, and whatever happens.
Right, you don't know what's going to come up.
But if you've built synergies, like
it shouldn't matter.
Works. Yeah. And this creates feelings very similar to Camel Up. Stand-up moments. Everyone's watching the finals that played the whole thing. Like it has an experience that I don't think any other game really brings, and it's super light, and it plays a lot of players.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking like that type of game.
Interesting.
I
considered it.
I think this could win.
You think it could be like the big winner, not just nominated, but like
I think it could.
Really, I don't feel like it's very highly ranked on BGG. Now I don't know if that's just because it hasn't had a lot of.
But it doesn't. That doesn't matter.
You don't think that is like I feel
they don't care.
Well, they don't care, but it does sort of show. I don't know, just like a general lack of potential popularity for a game, and if it's lowly ranked, then it makes me wonder if the judges might also kind of rank it low. But it might just be lowly ranked because not a lot of people played it yet. It wasn't like, I don't know. Was it not maybe
feels like one of those games that's unique enough and family oriented because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, well, they want to be very approachable. And more each year, it seems like they want to be more and more approachable.
Do you have one more?
I do have one more.
Okay.
This is my favorite of all the ones we've discussed.
Okay, it's definitely not the one that I picked for my last one.
I don't know if they do two-player games very often.
I don't. Not to my knowledge.
Not to mine either.
Oh, Splendor Duel?
But they did nominate Splendor in the past.
That's true.
And so I feel like it's possible that Splendor Duel could be.
Yeah, and on their thing, and
it's very light. It's easy to learn, right? It's a little heavier than some of the recent SDJs, maybe, but it's still not like heavy.
I think they would.
It's so good. Maybe it'd just be recommended.
This might be in the. Honestly, they might put this.
Kenner?
I think they might.
If it's anywhere, I'm going to be happy because the game is spectacular.
The crew made Kennerspiel.
I know, which is like, really?
So,
but the crew is easy to understand, but very challenging.
So is Splendor Duel.
Yes. No, I get it.
I wanted to. I would love it to. But I have a feeling if it does go on, it's going to be
if it's anywhere, even if it's just a recommended one, or I'll just be happy to see it get some more love because it's so good.
I mean, it won the Golden Geek 2-player award.
Yes, it did. That's the other thing that made me think, it's getting traction. It's being embraced by the community.
I want it to win too, but I have a feeling it would be in the other camp. But either way, it's fine.
Well, but Splendor wasn't, right? Wasn't
Splendor was not, but I think this is crunchier than Splendor.
It's like it's a step heavier.
And if it doesn't get in, they also said something like other versions of games don't count. And I don't know if they would think like, oh, this is kind of a version of Splendor, so it's not counting.
Maybe. I mean, it's got a whole nother co-designer who is beloved by the committee or the judges or whatever, right? He's done well in the past. So, talking about Bruno Cathala, So, I don't know. I just would love to see it get some more attention because I think it's kind of a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's light enough and approachable enough that it feels like the sort of thing that could win. But like I said, I also don't know if the two-player thing might be an issue.
Yeah.
Because they think of it as like a family game. They think of it as like you can play this with anybody.
Yeah.
But maybe a two-player game, I just don't know. I don't know how they'd approach it.
They did the Exit series a while back, right? And that's kind of different.
Yeah, but you can play that with a big group, and you can play that with your kids. True. And some of those are very hard.
But that was Kennerspiel too.
That was Kenner, yeah, you're right.
Okay, so my last one.
I'm curious.
Is I'm thinking Cascadia here, right? My last one is a tile-laying game that's about the weight of Cascadia, and it was very popular, and that's Acropolis.
You know what? I considered Acropolis.
I think if they're going for the Cascadia popular tile-laying, like medium weight for medium for the Spiel.
Yeah, medium, not really.
It's about as crunchy as Cascadia.
Yeah,
it has
might
some
be lighter
similarities.
Than Cascadia.
I know that this one's pretty popular.
Yeah, it is.
I loved it.
I like it too, and I hadn't played it for a while, and then I played it again at like a convention or something, and I was like, I forgot how smooth this was. Like, it is an impressive design, very clean, very light. It does feel like the sort of thing they're looking for. I very seriously consider it as one of the three, but just edged it out from the other ones.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna go the Cascadia route. This is like the closest thing to Cascadia.
I think Acropolis is a really good prediction. I would not be shocked if it's at least nominated or mentioned as like a runner-up. Another one that I'll mention is sort of like an also-ran is Museum Suspects.
Yes, but I wonder if that would be the kids one, the Kennerspiel.
Maybe, but I mean, it's heavier than just one.
Yes, I actually thought about Museum Suspects, but I didn't because I thought it might
and they
be
like Phil Walker Harding. He's like Emotep, right? Way back.
Yeah. And
so he's like on their radar as like a designer that they've...
It's funny because I had that on my long list and I'm like,
I narrowed it.
I think it's too kiddie.
That one and Acropolis, I both kind of weeded off for the other three that I mentioned, The Secret Identity, Fun Facts, and Splendor Duel. But yeah, I mean, any of those would not surprise me.
So we actually only had one actual crossover.
Yeah, although I would have absolutely put Phantom Inc. if I thought it was eligible.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll see. We'll see if it's considered eligible and if it's mentioned. It was also kind of a small, under the radar kind of game, so it makes me wonder if
that's the thing. There's always one that nobody.
Yeah, but like, was it like it was hard to get here? It was just like a little Kickstarter. Like, did it really go wide in Germany? I assumed it didn't, which is why I kind of eliminated it. But great option, and I hope it does get some acclaim because I'd love to see additional print runs. I'd love to see people have a chance to play it because it's super fun. Team versus team, like party game.
All right, the Kennerspiel. Since I have more than him listed, I'm going to go first. That way we'll probably even out. However, I will predict that him and I are going to have way more crossover on this list than the other list. Because the other list is kind of like, you never know. Like, there's a lot of different ways it can go. This one is pretty, like, usually down the road.
There's a certain weight that it almost kind of always falls in.
Yeah.
And so that really narrows it down.
I think my first prediction is going to be the winner. Hands down, not even a close. This thing's gonna blow everything out of the water. Heat.
Yeah, Heat's on my list. Too.
Heat. What's the
pedal to the metal?
Pedal to the metal from Days of Wonder. This is the perfect weight for this award. Yeah. It is already in the top 100 of Board Game Geek.
Yeah, people love.
And people in Europe like racing more than people in North America, so it's going to be even more popular there than it was here.
Yeah,
I think this is the absolute hands down winner. If it didn't get nominated, I would it
would blow me away. It would have to be some issue with like its availability or something, because you're right, it absolutely fits the perfect weight. It's exactly the sort of game that would win in the past, and they often have a pick that's like very popular, and this is the one.
Yes,
this is the one that everyone's talking about. You see,
the popular one doesn't usually win.
No, it doesn't usually win.
The heaviest one almost never wins.
Yes, but there's usually like
there's been Lost Ruins aren't at right.
Well, Dune Imperium I know one year but didn't win. This feels like the perfect weight. No, I agree with you. It was on my list as well, and I think it's the one that's I agree is most likely to pull it out. There's one other one that I feel like could give it a run for its money.
All right, so what do you got for our next one?
Well, I'll say that one next, and that's Planet Unknown.
I have that on my list too.
Yeah.
My only worry is that I know it's in Germany. I just don't know if it had quite. I don't know if they got past the Kickstarter distribution to actually get distributed in Germany.
Yeah.
Search for Planet Unknown. Planet Unknown was my strategy game of the year.
Right, I know how much you love it.
I love it. It is the perfect weight for this.
It is the perfect weight, and it's another one that is wildly popular.
It is.
Everyone loves it. It's being talked about all over the place. It's done great on BGG, and it feels like, I don't know, like the polyomino kind of thing. It just feels like the sort of thing that they would embrace, that they have in the past, and they would again.
If this doesn't get nominated, it has to be because it didn't have like full distribution. Because one of the things it can't just be in Germany and be like available.
Widely available.
It has to be available in like stores. Like
that's
it has
why
to have
I wonder if Phantom Inc. would qualify too.
Yeah, if not, that's probably why. But
Planet Unknown is
that's
like
a great
the perfect
pick.
way, right? Yeah, okay.
I've got one here that I don't. You might have this on your list, but I don't think so.
I have a lot of also-rans, but I narrowed it down to 3.
Okay, this one is Evergreen from Horrible Guild.
That was my third.
Wow, I told you we were going to have some crossover.
Yeah,
really?
Complete crossover. Yeah, those are the 3 that I assumed would be most likely. Evergreen's perfect for this.
Okay, Evergreen is perfect for this. The production's amazing.
Yeah.
The game is amazing.
Yeah, it's fast, it's quick, it's easy to learn, but it's very thinky, it's very challenging.
Between that,
that's what they want, right? They want a game that's approachable, but just a little bit step up from family weight.
Yeah.
But still has, it's thinky, and Evergreen just fits the bill perfectly. And it's a beautiful production.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept going back and forth between this and Evergreen for strategy game of the year, and it was like, they're just so good. And it's beautiful, and it's man. Yeah, this.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Those were my 3.
Okay, so here's one that you left off, probably because of the distribution.
Might be an also ran. Oh.
Earth.
Earth seems too heavy.
Was Wingspan ever a Kennerspiel?
Earth is a big step up.
You think so?
Wingspan.
Okay, but Earth isn't heavier than Twilight Imperium or Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Wait, Twilight Imperium?
Sorry, Twilight.
Twilight Inscription?
No.
Which one?
Sorry.
Oh, Twilight Struggle?
No.
How many Twilights are there? Stay tuned while we run down every game that starts with Twilight. What the heck, guys?
No.
There's also Twilight the board game based off of the movie.
I got the Imperium part mixed up.
Okay, which one?
Dune Imperium.
Dune Imperium.
I was thinking Imperium, but I said Twilight because of Twilight.
Okay, so what was your question? Is which one heavier than
Earth
which?
is not heavier than Dune Imperium or Lost Ruins of Arnak. They're like in the same thing.
They are in the same.
And it did seem like they got more than just Kickstarter distribution in Germany. So and it's new and it's hot and it's popular. So I could see this possibly getting nominated.
It's just a little too crunchy to me.
It's possible.
But no, I think it's certainly one that I considered. I just didn't put it on my short list because I thought this might be just a tick heavier than they like.
Well then,
but you're right. Dune Imperium and some of the other ones, they're very similar. We're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
If you look them up on BGG, they're going to be like 0.2 different. I mean, they're very close to each other.
Yeah, I think because this one's so popular.
Yeah.
Right now, if it got distribution,
but like you
Germany,
said, it's not always the popular ones.
No,
sometimes there's these left field choices that you don't expect.
The Kennerspiel, usually the popular ones are at least nominated.
Yeah.
Okay, last one that I'm really surprised you put on your list, but if you think Earth is too heavy, then you definitely thought this one was too heavy. I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about.
There's a few. I'm still...
Revive.
Oh, well, I think Revive's not available.
But it came out of Essen.
Oh, maybe.
That's where it debuted.
You know what? I looked into Revive because Revive is my pick for sure. It's like one of the best games I've played in a long time.
I do think the version at Essen was an English version, and then they came out with a German version afterwards.
So it says unreleased on BGG.
Oh, okay.
So like I considered it, but anytime it said unreleased,
if it said it was released, it would have been on your list, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, but it also is a little too heavy. Yeah. I think we talked about it actually when we first played it, or a little while back, and we kind of checked it against some of the others.
Is it really?
It's weighted heavier.
Is it more heavier than Lost Ruins of Arnak? I think it's about the same.
It is about the same, but it's that little tiny differences that can really like disqualify.
I think so too.
Like Feld, for instance, has been nominated in the past, but something like Marrakesh or whatever, it just seems too heavy.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just kind of disregarded anything that was. It's sort of like 3 and up. It seems like even though this is the Kenner, which is supposed to be like the elite gamer, the like connoisseur of gaming, they still lean fairly light. Things like Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak are almost the exceptions. Like, because you mentioned like things like The Crew, that are really not heavy. They're challenging, but they're not heavy. And so
I think even like Isle of Skye was a Kenner. It was like one of the first year they did.
And that's like Carcassonne weight. That's not very heavy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to know. Like we're trying to read their minds.
The heaviest game,
a hard trick.
I think the heaviest game has never won. Like Fantasy Realms was nominated last year.
Was it? Okay.
Look how light that is.
Yeah.
That should have been, you never know. Well, there you go. There's our picks, our predictions. Stay tuned because we're hoping to have a follow-up after the nominations happen on Monday to see how terrible we failed or how well we knocked it out of the park.
It'll be interesting to see if we were completely off.
Yep.
I'll be happy if one of the games I mentioned is somewhere mentioned anywhere.
Yeah.
I absolutely do not think, I'm not standing by these as like, they have to nominate these. Because there were so many other ones that could potentially be there. But these are ones that I was like the right combination of I'd like to see them win and they feel like the right pick.
That's exactly right.
And the fact that we had so much overlap makes me feel a little more confident in my picks. But like I said, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's just like a completely random other set of games that we didn't even consider.
Yeah, and if you don't want to miss that video, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And if you like our banter, I have a Patreon page where you can subscribe to get first impressions and behind-the-scenes videos that you can only get there. So you can check that out at GameBoyGeek.com.
Yeah, those are fun to record.
Yep. Patreon.com/GameBoyGeek. And we will see you next time. It's been Game Boy Geek.
Greg Dixon, thanks for watching, guys.
See you next time.
Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.